Hey guys, so NZXT yesterday just came out with their lowest end gaming PC for their starter PC series. It is a $700 gaming PC, which basically hits the price point of what most people are looking at when they're buying a brand new gaming PC. And kind of when I saw this, I'm like, holy crap, these guys are going to be making a ton of money off this thing. Not just because of the price point, not just because a whole lot of people are going to be buying it, which are two really big factors into making a lot of money, but just for the freaking margins that these guys have on this machine. So most of you guys are probably like, okay, they're probably making a pretty good amount of money. I mean, it's a computer company. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't really understand what's going on here, right? So they've got an Intel Core i3 9100F, a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 Super. It's from MSI. We got an MSI B365M mortar, and then an Intel 6060P, all that good stuff, right? So the first thing I want to bring to your guys' attention of how much money these guys are making is just because it's their own case, right? They basically don't spend any extra costs on this. They ship it in. And they basically are literally paying the cost for them to manufacture it and ship it. It's not a whole lot of money. I'd probably say around like $10 for them to, because they're making a whole lot of these things. It's probably $10 for them to make this machine. And then this is when it starts to get interesting, right? So NZXT has been using a lot of older Intel CPUs now that the 10th generations come out, and I think Intel has noticed that they have a lot of older stock of their 9th generation CPUs just because nobody is really buying Intel right now. Everybody's going for Ryzen. Ryzen just makes a lot more sense than Intel. You have a lot more upgradability. You have a lot better performance in general. You know, they cost less. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to buy Intel right now compared to Ryzen. So what am I thinking that they're doing? Well, I think that they're pretty close to giving these things away for free. An Intel i3 9100F, they're probably getting these things for sub $20 when they're buying them in bulk. As of right now, on market rate pricing, you have to pay around $70 for one of these CPUs. So I would say below $20 is pretty comfortable on what these guys are buying for OEM tray CPUs. And then this is the next thing. So MSI has been a partner with NZXT for quite a while. And again, since I think that the 9th generation's on a dead platform, well, it's not that I think it is a dead platform. There's no upgradability after that. Intel only lets you have 2 years of upgradability, and then it's kaput for those motherboards, which kind of sucks for the manufacturers of those motherboards because these guys probably have a lot of leftover stock, and it just doesn't really make sense for anybody to go out and buy one of their motherboards if they're not buying their CPUs, because I don't know anybody who's buying a old 9100F CPU. Just, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I'm pretty sure that MSI is like, hey, you guys can you know, have these for really dirt cheap, because I think these mortars go for around like $90 US. If you find it for like actual market rate pricing instead of that $150, $170 I was looking at earlier today, it's kind of dumb. So these things, they're probably getting these things for, again, dirt cheap because they're buying them in bulk. And this deep cool is fairly cheap as well. It's not, I thought it was a Hyper 212 at first, but it's not. It's just a cheaper kind of knockoff of the Hyper 212. And then we've got an Intel 660p. It's a 0.5 terabyte SSD, which I guess is actually a pretty good drive. Just as your standard drive for your PC. And again, Intel probably definitely gave it to them to sweeten the pot. Probably gave it to them for a pretty low price. These things go for around $60, a little bit less than 60 actually. Now again, you see MSI here. They're probably definitely getting a sweet deal from MSI for all this stuff, and then you get Windows 10 Home, and then you get a 2-year warranty. Now, it really shouldn't matter to us as consumers how much money these guys are making, as long as the deal's pretty sweet for us. You know, good on NZXT that they're making good money from it, right? It shouldn't really be a huge concern. I mean, we shouldn't hate a company because they're making a lot of money. That doesn't make sense, because that's the whole idea of a company, is to make a lot of money. But I want to talk about the conflict of interest a lot of people are having when picking out a gaming PC. So the main reason why NZXT has these parts for their machine, a couple of things. First off, branding. They have to use an NZXT case. If they use anything else, it'd be kind of weird. Second, they're on lower end stuff, so they can't use higher end stuff. And third off is just straight up money. They're getting all these deals from all these different companies, so they have to use a certain list of parts. You know, they have to use the Intel Core i3 9100F, which again isn't that great of a processor. They have to use the MSI B365M mortar, which actually isn't that bad of a motherboard, but it's kind of overkill for a non-overclockable series. Now, I can argue with people all day. I mean, anybody can argue all day about which part's better. You know, the Intel Core i3 is better value overall. You know, it's cheaper than Ryzen. It's a hard kind of line to walk across. It's not something that's simple, just as this thing's cheaper, it has the same amount of cores and threads, roughly the same IPC, therefore it's better value. Well, that's sure, you could look at that, but you could also look at, well, what's the extras, right? AMD always gives you overclocking. You can overclock on all of their B series motherboards all the way up to their X series motherboards. As well, you get a pretty dang good cooler, and you get a whole bunch of upgradability with a bunch of different platforms. Now again, NZXT is not going to use Ryzen anytime soon, but again, it's just the conflict of interest between the consumer and the producer, because they are looking to get the most money and the consumer's looking to get the most value out of their machine. So I kind of wanted to compare against these guys. Another $700 gaming PC that I kind of put together, which is the VRLA Tech Rogue. The VRLA Tech, if you guys have been long-term subscribers or people, you know, who've been watching my videos, you guys know I kind of point to this PC a lot of times if you're looking for a fairly good gaming PC for the $600 price point. Now this PC at base model is a $600 gaming PC, but I opted up for a little bit of a couple extra upgrades, and we got it up to around $710. It's, again, probably gonna be around the same price that you're gonna be paying for this, because you're gonna have to pay for shipping, taxes. You're gonna have to pay for taxes for this thing. I don't really think they have to pay for shipping. I'm not 100% sure. Even if you do, again, these things are basically the same price. But VRLA Tech just has overall better specs. So you've got an AMD Ryzen 3 3200G, a motherboard that you can upgrade pretty well. You got a 1TB hard drive, which kind of sucks, but we did throw in an SSD, so you're basically on par with what the NZXT is offering. You've got an RX 570, which is just better performance than what NZXT's GTX 1650 is offering. In short, it's a better PC. But I think you guys all probably knew that by the time I clicked on this. It's just an overall better PC. And if you guys wanted to see the parts list, this is what the BLD eventually comes out to. I couldn't find that MSI thing. I really don't think it's worth it. So this is my decent low-end gaming PC. This is actually probably what I would build myself if I had to, you know, a $700 budget, if I was going to go build my own PC. So we got an AMD Ryzen 3 3100, amazing 4-core, 8-thread CPU, gonna basically blow the whatever this is, the i3-9100F out of the water. And we got a pretty great motherboard. You'll be able to upgrade it fairly far. It's a max variant of the MSI, so it's gonna be updated to 3rd gen. So you don't really need to worry about any incompatibilities with the CPU and the motherboard at start. And then you got 16 gigs of RAM, double what this thing got. And I forgot to mention this also has double the capacity of what this got. So, you know, if you're looking for a decent gaming PC, check out this one. Then we got a 1TB hard drive, a 256 gig SSD. We got a Radeon RX 580, miles better than what the GPU is here. Yada yada yada. Basically, it's a better overall gaming PC. And this is kind of a weird thing. I always hate doing this just because it's bland, and everybody knows that these PCs are gonna always be better value. And the whole, I guess this kind of video is just basically me trying to dissuade you from buying this thing, even though I know that most of you guys are probably going to buy it. And if you guys actually want to go build your own PC for $700 right now, I'll leave this down in the description. If I was looking to buy a new PC right now, I'd definitely build it. But yeah, guys, I think this whole video was basically just me trying to say not to buy this thing. I just want to talk about their business model and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. I know this is kind of an odd video. I just want to talk about it before it came out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.